These are Jews.
It is now possible to produce a vaccine which will provide immunity against poliomyelitis.
And this is Judaism.
Thereof.
Of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise. We shall overcome.
Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts.
This is the language of Jewish worship. The same words are found in the worship of the church.
It is not easy to define either Jews or Judaism. Are Jews a race or a nationality? Is Judaism a religion or an ethical concept? Actually, much of what is taught in Judaism is also taught in Christianity.
In 1938, Pope Pius XI declared, "Spiritually, we are all Semites."
In a similar spirit, Protestant and Orthodox representatives meeting at the World Council of Churches in New Delhi in 1961 condemned anti-Semitism as being un-Christian.
However, much of Jewish life seems to have little connection with religious beliefs, prayer, and synagogues. For example, Jewish-style foods. Or bar mitzvah parties with their gifts, food, and festivities.
But actually, there is no moment in the life cycle of a Jew which is not associated with Judaism. When the male child is 8 days old, he is circumcised, and by this act brought into the covenant of Abraham. Later, in religious school, boys and girls affirm their bond with the teachings of Moses. This ceremony is called confirmation. His marriage is celebrated under a wedding canopy by the recital of ancient blessings. And over his grave, his family sanctifies the name of the Lord. And every season of the year has its special festival, liturgy, music, and mood. The 8 candles of Hanukkah, the story of Esther at Purim, the Passover meal in April, the solemn high holy days at the fall, concluded by the harvest festival of Sukkot, and the rejoicing in the Lord.
Judaism is also an outpouring of the Spirit in song and dance.
And always and ever, there is the obligation of tzedakah, or philanthropy, the concrete deed of giving which builds and sustains hospitals and social services for the needy of every race and creed. Jews are also called upon to support synagogues and schools and to assist in rebuilding Israel, the ancient homeland.
How then to define the variety of people, ideas, and activities that are associated with Jews and Judaism? Perhaps we can think of it as a tree of many branches, many leaves, and many blossoms, but all emerging out of a common trunk. And this trunk drawn from roots which go back through many, many centuries.
Some of these roots are planted in experiences and memories that precede recorded history. Experiences and memories that recall the awe and trembling of man as he confronts the mystery of the universe.
Other roots can be traced back to a time when the Middle East was dominated by powerful civilizations.
There was Babylonia, with its mighty cities and powerful armies. There was Egypt, land of the Nile, the pyramids, the pharaohs.
It was in this part of the world about 4,000 years ago, in an area of desert bridged by a fertile crescent, that a small group of families appeared, led by a man named Abraham. The records of the great nations of those days contain no mention of Abraham or his people, for they were too small in number to be noticed by the historians of mighty empires.
But the descendants of Abraham did keep a record of what happened. And in that record it is written that Abraham heard a call.
Get thee out of thy land, and out of thy birthplace, and out of thy father's house, and go unto a land which I shall show thee. And I shall make of thee a great people, and I shall bless thee, and make thy name great, and be thou a blessing.
Many centuries have passed, and whatever greatness has come to the descendants of Abraham has little to do with size or power. But it is a fact that the mighty empires which existed in those days have long since crumbled, while the people of Abraham is still alive.
Not only alive, but still eager to apply the laws and commandments of their ancient heritage to their own lives and the needs of their day. Why? Why is the people of Israel, Abraham's descendants, still alive and creative when so many other more powerful civilizations have perished?
One clue to the answer might be found in a synagogue on a Sabbath morning when a boy at the age of 13, the age of bar mitzvah, is called to read from the Torah. Grasping the wooden handles of the scroll, he chants a blessing.
Blessed be thou, O God, King of the universe, who has given us a Torah of truth, and thereby endowed us with eternal life. Blessed art thou, O God, the giver of the law.
Torah. That, Jews believe, is the secret of their life and the length of their days. It is a word of many meanings. Torah is the name given to the scroll, which is read in the synagogue on Sabbaths and holidays. The scroll containing the 5 books of Moses. Torah also means teaching, the totality of laws and legends, wisdom and literature, which has been transmitted by Israel's prophets, rabbis, and sages throughout the ages.
Torah for Jews is also a hint and revelation of mysteries which the mind of man cannot fully grasp. It is a spiritual link which can connect man with the infinite power of the universe.
Torah is also the record of man's search for freedom. Freedom from the chains of oppression, freedom from superstition, freedom to seek the God of one's conscience, and the realization that true freedom is attained only by the voluntary assumption of responsibilities to one's fellow man. and to God.
Many are the teachings of Torah, yet in essence they are simple. The rabbis, the men who follow the prophets in teaching Torah to Israel, relate how once a pagan came to the sage Hillel and demanded mockingly, "Teach me Torah while I stand on one foot and I'll become a Jew." Hillel quietly replied, "That which is hateful unto you, do not do unto your neighbor. This is the whole Torah. The rest is commentary. Go and study it."
Strong are the demands of Torah, yet tempered with mercy.
Justice, justice shall you pursue. You shall not steal, nor deal falsely, nor lie one to another.
But it also teaches us, judge not your neighbor until you put yourself in his place. In the place where a repentant sinner stands, not even the greatest saint can stand.
Torah is also a way of love.
I am the rose of Sharon, lily of the valleys. As a lily among the thorns, so is my love among the daughters. As an apple tree among the trees of the woods, so is my beloved among the sons.
Happy is every one that feareth the Lord, that walketh in his ways. When thou eatest the labor of thy hands, happy shalt thou be, and it shall be well with thee. Thy wife shall be as a fruitful vine in the innermost parts of thy house, thy children like olive plants round about thy table. Behold, surely thus shall the man be blessed that feareth the Lord.
Forgiving are the ways of Torah, but also demanding. If thy brother's hand reaches out to you in need, you shall surely grasp it and hold him up.
Let us understand, therefore, that every man is created in God's image, that every man has a right to freedom, dignity, and justice, and each of us is our brother's keeper.
Nor can you stand idly by when your brother's blood is being shed. For the rabbis have taught us, he who destroys one life, it is as if he destroyed the entire universe. And he who saves one life, it is as if he saved the entire universe.
Many are the teachings of Torah, for in every age the sages of Israel have pondered its wisdom, deepened its insights, striven to demonstrate the claim that it is truly a tree of life for all who grasp it, and all its ways are ways of pleasantness.
Ways of pleasantness? What of the storms of hatred, persecution, and violence that have buffeted the Jewish tree of life in almost every land and every age?
What of Rabbi Akiva, who, because he taught Torah to his people, was scourged with combs of iron and burnt at the stake? Akiva, who out of the flames tried to comfort his disciples by calling out,
"Do not be sad, do not despair. For all my life I have tried to fulfill the commandments of the Torah. Only one commandment have I not yet fulfilled. It is written, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy soul. That means, even if he takes this soul, blessed am I, Akiva, that I can now fulfill even this commandment."
And what of those who were tortured by the Inquisition in the Middle Ages, massacred in pogroms in Eastern Europe, driven to gas chambers in Auschwitz and Treblinka, only because they were Jews?
The truth is that Jews and Judaism are not only the bearers of the teaching and the faith, but also participants in a destiny. And this destiny has ever aroused the wrath of every tyrant who would place values like power, obedience, and conformity above the infinite value of the individual.
And it remains the task of Jews and Judaism to protest every system of thought which would degrade the divine image of man, suppress the rich variety of experiences which are the seal of God's creation, and mock man's yearning for a new and better world.
For the impulse which nourishes the Jewish tree of life comes from a dream.
And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder was set on earth, and the top of it reached to heaven.
So that earth and heaven would kiss, body and spirit, real life and ideal would someday merge. This was the messianic dream of Jacob, he who was later called Israel.
And the prophets extended the dream that the day would come when people would beat their swords into plowshares, that nation would no longer lift up sword against nation, nor learn war anymore. This too was part of Israel's messianic dream. Great was the longing of Israel for the Messiah. At first he was thought of as a human being who would help to usher in God's kingdom on earth, and only later as a Redeemer thought of in non-physical terms.
But coupled with this longing is a warning. Believe in your dream, but do not abandon your responsibilities on earth for the dream. The rabbis taught,
if you are planting a tree and someone tells you the Messiah has arrived, first finish planting the tree, then go to see if he has indeed come.
to do God's will on earth, to try to perfect our world so that it may be transferred into a kingdom of heaven. This is the teaching of Judaism. It is also the teaching of Christianity and Islam, the great religions which were inspired by Judaism's faith. To be sure, taught the rabbis, the good and pious of every people have a portion in the world to come. But unto Jews has been given the task of insisting on one great truth.
That there is one source of life and energy in the cosmos, one mind that has created the world and all that is therein, one heart that has implanted in man his yearning for truth, justice, and mercy. This is the nucleus of faith out of which Judaism evolved.
To be witnesses of this affirmation by deed as well as by word, to deduce from this affirmation the question, have we not all one Father? Has not one God created us? Why then do we deal treacherously one against the other?
To strive for oneness below, even as there is only one above. This is the task and destiny of Jews. This is the goal of Judaism.